Hello, I'm a guy with a hat and I can predict outbreaks of the COVID-19 disease by looking at the number of spreaders. And to prove my point, I will now give you some predictions for next week. So, in 1 week, the situation in the Netherlands, especially in terms of the numbers of deaths, will be about as bad as the situation is in Spain now. And the same will go for the United Kingdom. Also, in the Hauts-de-France region is probably the worst affected region in Europe outside of Italy. And so they will start reporting Italian level numbers in terms of deaths, at least in 1 week. And now to the good news, Germany, for example, as well as actually the Scandinavian countries is very safe. They're actually they're going to be in 1 week. Germany is going to be very similar in terms of the numbers than South Korea is now. So you might ask yourself now, the Netherlands have just banned all flights coming in from South Korea. So what do I know what the Dutch government doesn't know? Why is the Dutch government doing this? The Dutch government based their travel ban for South Korea on the number of confirmed cases in South Korea, which is very high. The problem is that the confirmed cases don't tell you anything about the number of spreaders, because confirmed cases are people who have been suspected of the disease, have been quarantined, have been tested, and 1 day later the test came positive and they were confirmed. So these cases are in quarantine, they're not spreading the disease right now. So if we want to estimate the number of spreaders, we should look at the number of actual cases and then deduct the number of confirmed cases. Also, maybe a few people will have already recovered or quarantined themselves without being confirmed. This will give us the number of spreaders. So basically, the more people are confirmed, the fewer spreaders. So more confirmed people is actually a good thing. If we want to know the number of spreaders, we would need to estimate the number of actual cases. So how do I estimate the number of actual cases? My way of estimating the number of actual cases is based on the fact that spreaders will be hard to find. This is the problem. But deaths are hard to miss. So when I can use the present deaths to estimate past actual cases. Then I will use the past actual cases and the past confirmed people to estimate the spreaders in the past. And then I can use our knowledge of exponential growth to extrapolate from the past number of spreaders the current number of actual cases and spreaders. In order to do this, we have to understand the timeline of the disease. There's going to be an incubation period in which people cannot be tested and confirmed, and they also cannot spread the disease. Once they have the symptoms, they will pretty quickly infect roughly 3 other people who will become infectious about a week later. And after about 14 days, most people recover. Now, the really important timing we have to understand is how long does it take to die? And this number is 8 days. So we only need to know one last thing, which is how many people die and how many people are going to recover. That's called the lethality. And we have already quite good estimates, and I'm fairly confident that I am pretty damn close by using 1% lethality, which also makes calculation very easy, because it means, well, if 100 people are developing symptoms now, 99 of them are going to eventually recover in like 14 days, and 1 of them is going to die in 8 days. This is what lethality of 1% means. So we can do the inverse thing If we now report a death, that person probably has started showing symptoms 8 days ago. That means 99 other people started showing symptoms 8 days ago, which means 100 people had symptoms, 100 people were actual cases and capable of spreading the disease 8 days ago. So, with this, we can start making the predictions. Let's first look at the predictions for the Netherlands and the UK. When I got these data yesterday morning, there were 10 deaths in the UK and 10 deaths in the Netherlands, which means roughly 1,000 plus minus 300 actual cases 8 days ago. Now what we have to compare these cases to the number of people who were probably quarantined 8 days ago, which is the number of confirmed cases 7 days ago. So 1 week ago, the United Kingdom and the Netherlands each confirmed about 200 cases, which tells us there were about 800 spreaders who will by now have infected 2,400 people. This is how we get to around 3,000 actual cases, of which less than 800 by now have been found. So this is very bad news. Now you also see that 1 week ago, Spain had 10 deaths reported. And 1 week prior to that, Spain had found only 100 confirmed cases. So there were 900 spreaders. This is why there is such a big outbreak in Spain now. So we can assume the same outbreak in the UK and the Netherlands. So now to my prediction for the French region Hauts-de-France. You very often see these maps of confirmed cases, which are absolutely useless to assess risk. Because what you would need is a map of the number of deaths. So I found the table and basically added the number of deaths, and there you can see that the France region has 3 times more deaths than the Grand Est region, which tells you and the Grand Est region actually, they're doing relatively well in finding and quarantining spreaders. So the Hauts-de-France region really has a big problem, because by now there's over 8,000, probably 10,000 people around, and at least as of making this video, they're not capable of finding those people. I suspect they might be connected with ski resorts. Last but not least, I have to explain to you why South Korea did have an outbreak, but it's under control, how I can tell. So we can tell it's pretty much under control by the fact that A, South Korea is testing an extreme amount of people, B, they're finding very few, and C, the deaths stop coming in that quickly. So there's less deaths being reported, which means by now on a daily basis. So this means the outbreak has actually been under control 8 days ago. So we can see now when we look at the actual cases here that they are actually now the same as the confirmed, which means the South Koreans have found everyone. But about 21 days ago, they were having about 1,000 to 2,000 people on the loose spreading the disease, which is why there was an outbreak in the first place. By now they have found everyone, those 20,000 people, those 2,000 people, and those have already infected 6,000 more. But those they were contact of the known actual cases, so they were all quarantined and are now starting to test slightly positive. And a few of them will have had a very long incubation period and now test positive. And then there's going to be a few travelers coming in from other countries like the Netherlands who actually do have the disease, and they are also getting tested in South Korea and reported. Now we know that how an outbreak under control looks like, and we can make the case that the outbreak in Germany is pretty much under control. By this we had 8 deaths in Germany, and 1 week ago we had almost 700 confirmed cases, which leaves about 120 spreaders. There is still a large statistical error, but the next day 160 people were confirmed, so the few spreaders that were out there were probably found quite immediately. So I would guess there had been less than 100 people running around spreading the disease in Germany 1 week ago. The German authorities apparently do a good job, as do the South Korean ones, in finding and quarantining people. Armed with this knowledge, I want you to critically review this model and apply it and see if the predictions work out. You can do now predictions on your own. You can help me get the attention of the Robert Koch Institute. They have a cool way to, or a different way to assess risk areas, which works. So they figured out that Tyrol and Südtirol were risk areas before there were being many reports from these areas. So they do a very good job, but a different one. So I think my method is complementary, and they should add the Netherlands and the Hauts-de-France to the risk areas for Germany. I want to get the number of hospitalized cases reported, because this allows to make way more accurate predictions. Of that I'm fairly sure, at least in developed countries. And I would need help to make predictions for more countries and to display the data better. Basically, I would like to make a map of the number of spreaders. And last but not least, I want you to spread the word that we need to worry about the spreaders, not the confirmed cases, and that we need to find the spreaders to stop the spread. Thank you.